Assalamu alaikum, my dear student. Today our topic is Green theorems. George Green was the English mathematicians introduced Green theorems. Exist in two dimensions or in plane is called Green theorems. Means the Green theorem in plane is a special cause of Stokes theorem. What is Stokes theorem and why Green theorem in plane is a special cause of Stokes theorems? First to introduce what is Stokes theorem. Stokes theorems gave relation between the line integrals and surface integrals is called Stokes theorems. This is a line integrals and this is a surface integrals. Means we also prove Green theorems in the way of Stokes theorems and by helping of Stokes theorems. That is the reason the Green theorem in plane mean two dimensions. Here we consider two dimensions x and y. Green theorems in plane is a special cause of Stokes theorems. Means we prove Green theorems with the help of Stokes theorems. What is Stokes theorem? Stokes theorem is a relations between line integrals and surface integral is called Stokes theorems. What is line integral? The integrals of line is called line integrals and the integral of surface is called surface integrals. Okay, clear? What is Green theorems? Now, if S is a closed regions, S is a closed regions, those region close within the boundary is called S, and ds is a small patches of the surface, and k is a normal vectors. Means the this closed region exists in x and y, and then this is normal component always exist upward. Means this is x and y and normals exist in means z directions. This direction along z direction, k along z direction. Okay, clear? F is a closed region in xy plane. Plane may be zx, zy and xy. Here we consider plane xy bounded by a simple close. Bounded mean closed by a simple closed curve C. Mean this region closed by simple closed curve C. Here curves not mean curves. Here simple closed curve means circle. Close around a surface. C, M and N are a continuous function of x and y. Continuous function mean if x and y change, then M and N also change. Having continuous derivative. Derivative means rate of change with respect to time. And we also defines derivative is a reverse process of integration. Okay, this is a small patches and this is normal of the surface. Normal of the surface means this surface exists in xy and this component this direction is normal. Normal means in z direction. Okay, mean for example x and y, then this direction along this. Okay, upward. Okay, clear? And this is a Green theorem. This mathematically form is Green theorem. Mean integral of within bracket mdx plus n dy is equal to double integrals partial n over partial x minus partial m over partial y and dx dy is a mathematical form of Green theorems where the curve C is transverse. Transverse means travel across in the anti-clockwise direction. Anti-clockwise, this direction is anti-clockwise. What is clockwise direction? For example, this is a clock and we know that the direction of clock is this side. Okay, but this is anti clockwise directions, then this is in this way. Okay, understand? Anti-clockwise directions. Understand what is anti-clockwise directions? And now we proves mathematically form of Green theorem. Mathematically form of Green proofs. Let S be a closed region. S is a closed region in xy plane. Xy plane bounded by a closed curve C. Mean S is a region or surface and closed by curve C. This is a curves close the surface. Okay. Suppose A is a vector field having M and N as X and Y component. Means what is vector field? Vector field means in which vector quantities is continuous is called vector field. A is a vector field, and we know that what is vector exists in 3 dimensions x, y, z, but here we consider planes exist in 2 dimensions x and y, and M we use M and N on x and y. Okay, component respectively. Means A is a vectors and M and N is a component, and x and y function of N and y component. Means this is a component of vector A, and I and j are direction of component, and x and y means functions of M and N. Okay, if M, X and Y change, then N and M also changes. Okay, and R is a unit vectors. We know that unit vector also exist in 2 dimensions x and y directions, and we know that what is the derivative of position vectors? Simply derivatives. Okay, any confusion? Mean A is a vectors and M is a component of vectors and R is a position vectors. The component of R is x and y, and derivative of R is dxi plus dyj. Okay, we know that what we proves. We proves Green theorems in the way of Stock theorem by the helping of Stock theorems. Okay, we find value of this and curls of this, and after putting in Stock theorems we find Green theorems. Okay, we know that A is a this component, and derivative of multiply with each other means A dot product of A and dr we take, and mi multiply with dxj, not multiply with j. Mean if multiply with j I equal to 0, nj only multiply with dyj. If multiply with dxi equal to 0. How is it equal to 0? Only I write on another page for better understanding. Means if m is multiply on both with both terms is equal to this m dx ij, m dy I, m d I, this is I, this is I, and m d dy m dy I dot j, and same multiply with this. We know that I dot j is equal to magnitude I j cos theta. We know that I dot j means exist in same plane. First consider I. This is I. I exists in x-axis and the angle of both is 0. Then I dot I magnitude is equal to 0. We know that cos 0 is 1. and also I1, this is equal to 1, and this is on I is x direction, y is j direction. The angle between them is 90. Then is equal to cos 90 0. Then all is 0. Okay, and also jj. The jj exists in same plane. Then angle between them is 0. And we know that cos 0 is 1. And j is 1. J is 1. And cos is 1. Okay, is equal to 1. And this is opposite in plane, mean in different plane. Then is angle between 90 is equal to 0. That is the reason only I unit vectors gave answer 1 and jj unit vector gave answer 1 if dot product of ji is equal to 0 and ij is equal to 0. Okay, understand? Now that is the reason we got this. Now curl a also equal to curl a also equal to dev cross a. Okay, what is dev cross a is equal to j k a. What is dev exists in 3 dimension is equal to partial x partial of partial xi unit vector partial of partial yj unit vector partial over partial z unit vectors use here. Okay, and we know that what is the component of a m and n, m and n, and third is 0, only two component of vector a. Okay, now we multiply with first we write I component, and if we write I component then we ignore column this and this row if we write I, and only multiply these component with each other. Okay, partial or partial y multiply with 0, write this, and if we multiply class partial z multiply, and then we use negative sign between them. Okay, and also we write j, then also we use negative signs with j. Okay, for multiplication of this column ignore and this row ignore. For j unit vectors only multiply this and this, multiply this is equal to this, and partial over partial z m is equal to this. If we multiply cross this then we use negative sign between them, and also we write k unit vector we use positive sign, and but ignore this column and this row and use this partial n or partial z. If we write this use negative sign between them minus partial m or partial z. Okay, this is 0, and this is 0 also, negative plus partial m over partial z j, and third is this k. Okay, okay, understand? Now we know that multiply curl a with ds. ds is also equal to curl a and k ds. Why we use k? We also prove here because component normal with z direction we use unit vector minus k. Okay, understand? That is the reason we use, and we write this value unit vectors here, this is, and then we multiply k ds with this value. Okay, we obtain this partial m partial z I dot k ds plus partial m partial z j dot k, and write with this partial n or partial z minus partial m partial y k k, means this is a I dot k, the angle between them is 90, this is equal to 0, this is also equal to 0, and this is only gave answer 1, and we write partial n over partial, and ds is equal to dx and dy, mean exist in two dimension, because I along x-axis k along z-axis, the angle between them is 90. I k angle between them is 90, and cos 90 is 0, and this is also 0, and only this is answer 1. We proves already use here. Okay, and we obtain this value according to Green Stock theorems. Stock theorem is equal to integrals a dot dr is equal to double integral cos a dot ds. We also find a dot dr value and also curl a dot ds. We put this value in equation 1 and obtains Stock Green theorem. Obtains mathematically form of Green theorem. Partial n over partial z partial m over partial y is equal to dx and dy. Okay, this is a mathematically form of Green theorems, and we only find with the helping of Stock theorems. The purpose of Stock theorems: convert the line integrals, this is line integrals, into double integrals of the microscopic circulations. Okay, understand? Topic our close.